meeting? The pledge, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve and execute the minutes for the meeting of April 14th, 2015.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Water resources.
Good morning, Gary.
First item here is one of our service contracts for pump maintenance for the year 2015, $2,000. This is one object we will look next year into doing multiple years, but this one started back, finally got it all through, but all the paperwork started a while back, and we had a change trying to do multi-year midstream.
Okay.
The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and execute a service contract agreement with North Shore Pump and Equipment Company to perform pump maintenance for the year 2015 in an amount not to exceed $2,000.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
All right.
The next item is another service contract with Cummins Bridgeway. This one is a 3-year contract. We were able to work that out with them.
Nice. Yep.
They'll be doing the maintenance on our backup generators at McFarland and Parkland.
Okay.
Is that one of those that 3-year contract is a result of the conversation we had in the last meeting?
Combination, yeah, we were trying to work that out ahead of time, but we, as soon as we had that conversation last week, we said, basically told them it's gonna be 3 years.
Yeah, nice.
Things work, huh?
Yeah, but these ones, that type is a little easier to get the contractor to agree to 3 years because he knows he's gonna be doing the work for 3 years. Whereas with some of the other service contractors, they're not guaranteed any work.
Right,
With
right.
our service contracts, so.
Okay.
I want to make you aware that all three of you need to initial on each one of these 4 sections.
Okay.
And there's 2 pages. The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve, execute, and initial a service contract agreement with Cummins Bridgeway to perform 3 years of planned maintenance for the generators located at the McFarland Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant, the Parkland Pump Station, and the Parkland Wastewater Treatment Plant for the years 2015, 2016, and 2017 in an amount not to exceed $21,844.79.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler? Commissioner Claypool?
All right. This is part of that, or this is the next one coming up?
This one is the one that you just talked about.
Okay.
This is number 4.
And the one we just approved is the one we just, so we do this one now.
Yes.
Do me a favor, get easier contracts.
We talked to the prosecutor's office on that one.
All right. Christie, can you set that up? This is the pain in the butt.
Well, yeah, there's 4, so.
That's the one that needs initialing, not this.
Yes, correct. There's blue stickies, and there's 4 spots, and there's 3 lines in each spot.
And the reason this needs initialing is because somebody didn't go back and revise the contract, so all we had to do was sign it.
And then you also have to sign the actual regular service. That's your prosecution.
We need a key on the table, that if it's a blue one, you initial, and if it's a red
If it's a
one-
yellow, it's all of you, and the red ones are just the
Yeah, we
president.
need some kind of a
I'm
color
trying to color
key here
code
to
here.
follow along.
You
not-
need the button down at that end of the table.
Yeah, here.
We need an overhead camera so you guys can see what we have to do up here. You're sitting there, nice and easy, very relaxing.
Sometimes just trying to place the stickies to get them in the right spot is sometimes one day this is going to work.
All right.
I don't think anybody's gonna throw us a pity party.
I'm thinking not, but it's worth a shot. Go ahead, Glenn.
The next item here is a resolution for the ODOT doing work on 306. They're replacing a culvert just north of Beacon Hill in Bainbridge Township. Part of that project is they have to relocate our county force main that's within the right of way. They're taking the culvert, it's currently on an angle across the road, and they're gonna bring it closer to being perpendicular across the road. When they do that, they need to relocate our force main. It's gonna be still in the public right of way, it's just gonna be closer to the right of way. Under the agreement with ODOT to have public utilities in their right of way, if they ever need to be relocated as part of a project, we or whoever the public utility is required to pay for the portion of the project that is that relocation. And that's what this resolution is basically saying that we understand we have to pay for it, and we agree to pay for it. And there'll be a contract next week, it'll be the official contract between the county and ODOT on for that cost. It's $40,000.
1,800. The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-051, final for the relocation of county sanitary force main as part of a state improvement to replace a culvert located under Chillicothe Road, State Route 306, just north of Beacon Hill Drive in Bainbridge Township.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Thank you, Jerry. Bye-bye now.
Aye.
Okay.
Check and see if the mic is on.
All the way toward you.
The thing in the back is on. but I had-
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on.
My financials, you just have to sign 2 copies.
Okay.
No initialing. Today's financials, we have revenue certifications for the auditor's GO note retirement fund. That's for loan payments for the engineer's office, the Ohio Development Service Agency loan. And the Core Technology Fund for Ohio Technology Grant proceeds from the Ohio Supreme Court. We have cash transfers out of the general fund for a portion of 2015 funding for the CASA program and for quarterly gas well proceeds for the Board of DD. Purchase order for the Treasurer of State for the relocation of the sanitary force main project for the Department of Water Resources in the amount of $40,860. Travel request for the Common Police Court Probation Department. Second quarter 2015 payment to the OSU Extension Office in the amount of $68,566.25. Payment to Geauga Incorporated for the annual software maintenance contract for the Sheriff's 911 GIS mapping program in the amount of $10,905. And a payment to Abraham Cantor for legal services for the juvenile court for a period of January 27, 2015 through February 19, 2015, the amount of $7,612.50.
On that GIS, that's to who for the mapping program?
Geocom,
And that's for what?
it's for the GIS,
Yeah, I
for the
mean,
911 program.
Okay, so on that, because I'll tell you, I don't know what's going on with the GIS that you go to do the property search on.
Oh,
REA
that's
link.
through the
But,
auditor.
I mean, it's terrible. We've gone actually backwards. I mean, I don't know what the auditor's office did with that, but it's terrible.
Yeah, they retired Access Geauga, and there may have been software that was no longer support or something.
I
They
mean,
replaced it.
Yeah, it's Reolink, right? That's the
Yeah.
new-
Really?
Yeah.
It's terrible. You go on there and you try to track properties or look at properties the way that it used to be and what it is now. I mean, we've gone backwards as far as I'm concerned. It's terrible. It's the hardest thing to work with. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You know, they've done some training. I know they trained some realtors on it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was poking around on it the other day, I agree with Rao.
I mean,
It's much more cumbersome than the old system. And, I mean, I'm a computer guy, I mean, it's not hard to use from an overall conceptual
I think
standpoint.
it requires more bandwidth to operate it, because when I talk to folks up on the square where they're right by it, it seems, and I actually saw it, it seemed to run pretty well when you're right by it. But
Yeah.
if you're coming in remotely, it's taking forever for those maps to move.
yeah, I talked to a surveyor the other day and he goes, he says, what did you guys do to your system? And I was like, I said, you're not the first one that's complained about this, and I mean, it's bad. So, okay. So I was gonna say,
I know you
if
control
we
that,
were
right?
putting money into that,
That's right.
I was gonna say no today
No,
because
that's
it's
for
gone
the
really
sheriff's
backwards.
office.
On the financials, that one that's, the 40,860, that's the
That's what he just
thing that
talked
we
about.
just
Yes.
talked about there. And then that one for the juvenile court, the legal, says legal fees here for commissioners. Which case is that? Do you know?
That is the,
Well, that's the attorney that's doing the judge against Nancy MacArthur. Is that the first bill, or we already paid one, didn't we?
that's the second bill.
That's the second, and what are we up, around $12,000 on that now?
Close to that, yes.
Okay, I gotta make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Morning, Jessica.
Good morning.
That's not yours. Morning, Inspector. Review.
How you feeling?
I'm gonna pull my back out on Saturday,
You're
so.
gonna get back to us on that? You're feeling?
Good morning. Well, we were surprised, Becky Samarge, she put in her retirement notice, so we're very happy for her, but we're going to miss all the hard work that she has done in the Department on Aging. She is our site coordinator at the Chardon Center, so. To accept her retirement as of June 19th.
The Department on Aging is requesting the board accept the retirement resignation of Rebecca Samarge, site coordinator, to be effective June 19th, 2015.
Make that motion.
Second. Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
And then we'd like to post her position for internal and external candidates.
The Department on Aging is requesting the board grant permission to advertise for the position of site coordinator number 1004. This position will remain posted until filled.
Move.
Second.
Commissioner Rea? Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning. Morning, Linda.
Matt asked for a few hours on Friday. If I'd known last week, I would have combined them, but I didn't know. Hope it's not job search. Just saying.
That same thing was going through my head.
I'm sure I really value the skills he brings to us, and I would be really sad if we lost him. But it is an unpaid leave, as he doesn't qualify for using vacation yet. He hasn't been here quite a year yet.
The Archives and Records Center is requesting the board approve an unpaid leave of absence for Matthew Murphy on Friday, April 24th, 2015.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spudler? Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hot seat for you.
Morning.
How are you, Kelly?
How are you? The first one is the programmatic agreement for OHPO and the county. I think I can explain this in an easy way. What this allows us to do, no matter what project we do, whether it's a building for a loan or a building for our allocation grant, example, Burton Legion Hall, it's less than 50 years old. This agreement allows us to just send a letter to OHPO saying there's no significant historic preservation or historic significance with this building because it is younger than 50 years old. If we did not have this programmatic agreement, we'd have to do a 21-page report on every project that we do. So that's basically what it is. We redo this every 3 to 4 years. There's been no change in the agreement since the last agreements that we've had. If we do have a building that's over 50 years old, it allows us, instead of doing that 21-page report, we submit TOFOs, pictures of the building, tell what the project is, we're replacing windows in this, it's meant for private rehab more than the projects that we do. We don't do much private rehab, we don't do any private rehab anymore. So it just kind of lets us not do that 21-page report anymore. We could just submit photos and a letter, and basically, they are saying, okay, we believe you, here's the site or whatever, you don't have to do the 21-page report. No matter what, we have to submit something to OHPO when it comes to a building.
It'd be interesting to have a conversation at some point in time on how much time and effort and resources we expend on HUD grants, just complying with all the things you have to comply with.
Well, the county gets money from HUD all over the place, you know, not just our office, and you have to remember that whenever you,
I just had a conversation with another commissioner, I'll leave the name of the county out, and it was actually his attorney had said to me that they're pulling out of anything having to do with HUD grants.
Wow.
Because the requirements are so stringent on the HUD grants, that they're just not gonna have anything to do with it anymore. So I thought I'd set up a meeting with Anita and these guys and have a little bit of a conversation, so.
I think a lot of that comes from, like I said, the private sector, the private rehab, which we really have gotten away from doing. We don't do our home buyers assistance and rehab programs anymore, or anything like that. I think that's where a lot of those strict guidelines come in. Like our MSP grant that we did.
Right.
That was a nightmare. You know, we don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of abusive, actually, as an organization, so. But you guys do a real good job of managing that, so, go ahead.
The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the procurement agreement for coordination between Geauga County and the Ohio State Historic Preservation Office for the administration of programs using HUD allocated funds with delegated review responsibilities authorized under 24 CFR Part 58 for the period January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2019.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler? Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
The next one is, we're asking for a change order to extend the date of completion for the architect for the Thompson Township Community Center. The architect is Steve Cicerato, and times just got pushed back because of the current construction and everything going on up in Thompson, so he needed a little bit more time to finish up the plans.
Okay, go ahead.
The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute change order number 1, extending the date for completion to provide architectural plans by 14 calendar days for the interior rehabilitation of the Thompson Township Community Center under program income and allocation funding.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it warm out there yet?
No.
Morning. Morning. How are you?
Good. Beginning of a long list of engineering topics. The first one on here is just to release the 33% reduction load limit on all county and township roads as frost has finally released from the ground.
You sure?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I watched the weather, I thought it's coming back.
Well, it's cool, but it doesn't mean it's gonna get that deep anymore.
Yeah.
But, this is effective May 1, so it's time to let the trucks, do what they have to do without causing more damage.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board release the 33% load limit reduction on all county highways and township roads to be effective May 1st, 2014.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
This is an interesting call from somebody in California asking me about ultra-density concrete and why our county engineer is not using ultra-density concrete.
Ultra-density concrete. I don't know.
Yeah, so you can put it down in its last 50 years and we don't have to ever worry about it again, so.
This guy's from California?
Yeah, I'll come over and talk to Joe about that, see if he knows anything about ultra-density. Oh, and they got a new technology called solar roads now.
Solar roads.
Solar roads coming from California.
Nice.
And I know I've got a lot of confidence in it coming. Go ahead.
All right, this next one is to sign to approve and execute the unit price contract with Ronick Paving for the resurfacing of Rapids Road.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute the unit price contract with Ryan Paving Incorporated for the asphalt resurfacing of Rapids Road, CH1, sections D through F in Burton and Troy Townships in the amount of $887,314.60.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Are you tag teaming us today?
Yes, we are. We're getting our time in and running.
Oh.
Morning,
The line.
Good morning, Jay.
Wow, he's signing has it, thank you. The concrete's beautiful. The cone is still there.
We have on the agenda today, Burton Windsor Road, County Highway 14, sections F and G. This is an Ohio Public Works funded project to 0.55 miles. resurfacing. The total cost is estimated at $700,000, and the maximum grant is $288,000. We're looking to get the board's final approval and put these out to bid.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-046 to order the improvement of Burton Windsor Road, CH 14, sections F and G in Huntsburg Township. This resolution also requests the board approve and execute the title sheet for the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, May 13th, 2015 at 2:00 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised on April 23rd, 2015 and on the county website.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you. The next item is for Thwing Road, County Highway 27, sections A and B, in Sheridan and Munson Townships. This is a 2.88-mile resurfacing road, estimated cost of $625,000. It also is a Ohio Public Works grant funding of $243,000, and we're looking for final plan approval and authorization to put this out to bid.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-047 to order the improvement of Fleming Road, CH 27, sections A and B in Sheridan, Munson Township. This resolution also requests the board approve and execute the title sheet for the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, May 13th, 2015 at 2:05 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised on April 23rd, 2015 and on the county website.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Shane, on that Burton Windsor, that's gonna start at 528?
Yes.
Okay. And then go east?
Yeah, all the way to Bunningsburg Road.
Okay.
The third item for my agenda here is for the restriping, application of permanent pavement markings for 110 miles of county highways. And that'll include center line, edge line, and some channelizing line. The total estimated cost is $218,000, and that would all be local funding.
So what does that break down to, a mile? 218?
Yeah, it's about 2,000 a mile, roughly, with all the striping that's involved.
And we'll get about how long out of that?
We're getting about 3 years on average. Some of the heavier traveled roads,
Okay.
they're getting done every other year, and a few even are getting it every year.
Yes.
Between the cars and the plows, it's getting banged up pretty good out there.
Sure, yep.
You just have a winter without snow.
Good luck with that.
Get those solar roads, man.
Could buy some of the California concrete then.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if you want to do 16 with that, because that's both of them.
Oh, yeah.
15 and 16 is what.
Yeah, we're actually submitting both the first and second resolution on this, so we're getting your authorization to improve and order back to back.
Wanna do this together?
Yeah, go ahead.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-048 to improve various sections of county roads by applying pavement markings for the year 2015. The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-049 to order the improvement of various sections of county roads by applying pavement markings in the year 2015. This resolution also requests the board approve and execute the title sheet for the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, May 13th, 2015 at 2:10 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised on April 23rd, 2015 and on the county website.
So then we're doing 16 and, or 15 and 16.
16 together, right.
All right, I'll make those motions.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Thank you. Finally, the county engineer's office is requesting the board approve the plans to replace 2 wooden timber box bridges on Heath Road. these bridges are at the end of their life cycle. We're proposing to replace them with precast concrete boxes. Both are north of Wilson Mills, just before you leave the county.
Wooden box bridges.
Similar to what was replaced last year on Fowler's Mill. 3-sided wooden boxes.
How long does a wooden box bridge last?
They're 50 years old.
Really? Surprising.
And the last few that we've replaced from the inside of the bridge, where the water flows, they look in decent shape. As soon as we peel that back, the part that's against the earth is showing pretty advanced stages of rot. So
Were those made, I mean, they're made out of wood, but they're 50 years old. They didn't have the treated wood we have now, did they?
they did have
They had creosote or something, right?
something like that, yes.
We don't want to talk about what's going in the environment from those.
The debris will just be disposed of in a lawful manner.
Very good.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-050 to order the reconstruction of the Heath Road Bridges structures number 105-5.02 and 105-5.20 in Chester Township. This resolution also requests the board approve and execute the title sheet for the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, May 13th, 2015 at 2:15 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised on April 23rd, 2015 and on the county website.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sam. Bye-bye now. Good morning.
We have to drag up the chair from there.
I'm great, thank you.
How you doing,
How you
Glenn?
been? Morning.
Good.
Hello, hello.
This morning, we're asking the commissioners to approve the court information technology department to advertise for legal notice for an RFP for employment.
Who else is using, the other courts are using the felony already, aren't they?
Many of the other courts, the federal courts are already using that, the Supreme Court is moving in that direction, but some of the other courts are moving in that direction from the county perspective.
Is this gonna save, make your jobs easier?
It should definitely have an impact on the clerk's office as well as the speed that things get through the courthouse as far as moving into the judges and stuff.
I know with Jobs and Family Services, the state mandated court, computer systems are a pain in the butt. So is this gonna be better for you guys and make it work?
This isn't state mandated, so it's actually something
Good.
we've been looking at. We've been looking at for quite some time, and the opportunity financially has come across our desk so that we can actually make that happen.
The common police board of technology is requesting the board grant permission to advertise for competitive sales proposals, ORC 307.862, for electronic filing system e-services, with the sealed proposals to be opened on Wednesday, May 13th, 2015 at 3:00 p.m. Notice of this request for competitive sealed proposals will be advertised on April 23rd, 2015 and on the county website.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner
I
Claypool?
have another question before you vote. So who's gonna maintain the system? Is this maintained by you guys or maintained by the GIS guys? Or by
No, we
Steve?
maintain that system.
You maintain yourself?
Right.
And you have the staff to do that and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
We are the staff.
We are the
You
staff.
are the staff. Yeah, all right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'd like to see the system, by the way. I'm a computer guy at the back, but my curiosity always gets the best of me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Morning, Chief.
Morning.
Morning, Glenn.
This is just, we had Mike retiring, so this is to refill his position. well for advertising.
And this is senior trades mechanic, which would be what would you be doing?
He'd be doing the basic maintenance stuff, all the maintenance stuff, plus with the senior maintenance, he's in charge of 1 or 2 guys right underneath him. Like here, we have 2 guys, so we try to do like a maintenance 1, maintenance 2, maintenance 3. It's just.
So it's not like an automobile mechanic?
Correct.
Yeah, that's,
Correct.
not-
It's just-
threw me a little bit, the
Okay.
nomenclature there. He's a mechanic, he's a maintenance person.
Correct. He's a mechanic for the HVAC units
Okay.
and stuff. like
Okay.
that, so.
Okay.
The maintenance department is requesting the board grant permission to advertise for the position of senior trades mechanic number 1905. This position will remain posted until filled.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spudler? Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Glenn. Bye-bye now.
Take care.
I am subbing for Mike Casper this morning, this next one. Mr. Bevan was still in his probationary period, and he's determined that being a transit driver is not really something he wants to do long-term, so he submitted his resignation.
Okay.
The transit department is requesting the board accept the resignation of William Bevan, part-time driver, to be effective April 16th, 2015.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Just like a bad penny, I'm back. This next item is a case where an employee, a longtime employee, received a promotion at the county home. And what our policy manual says is when a person is high enough in the steps that the promotion actually causes them to lose money, we make them whole. So they continue to earn that same wage they were making until the end of their probation, and then either they click up to the next step and it's more money, or we give them at least 25 cents an hour more at the end of their probation. In this case, when she gets to the end of her probation, the first step in the new position will be more than 25 cents. So this is just a stopgap to make her whole during her probationary period.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board amend the motion from April 14th, 2015, correcting the rate of pay and to reapprove the promotion of Wendy Hellstrom from cook to senior cook number 1507 to be effective April 19th, 2015 at a rate of $10.60 per hour. After the successful completion of a 180-day probationary period, the rate will increase to $11.02 per hour.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Thank you. This next item is just our ordinary summer help. We are going to be working with a summer program, summer youth training program at JFS for a lot of our summer help this year, and that's going to be a grant-funded program, so we'll get help without paying for it out of our pockets. But we have a couple departments that would also like to do their ordinary summer help hiring, and so every year we come to you and ask you to approve that a couple of departments can do this, and to set the rate of pay for it.
Commissioner
They
Thomas?
set the rate of pay?
You are setting it right now.
We're setting the rate.
Correct.
Okay.
The
And this
GFS
is consistent with the other program?
I have not even seen the paperwork for that. I don't know what the pay is because we will be contracting with a vendor who's gonna actually be doing the paying of the participants in the JFS program. The company is called Kalos.
We had to adjust ours because the minimum wage changed.
The minimum wage went up, so we had to be sure we were above that, so.
Okay.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board grant permission to advertise for summer help number 0101 for the approximate period of May 1st, 2015, or the end of the school year through September 30th, 2015, or at the start of school, whichever comes first, for a maximum of 21 weeks, 840 hours to be worked. This posting will remain posted until all positions are filled, with compensation to be set up at $8.25 per hour first year, $8.50 second year, and $8.75 third and subsequent years.
And we do have some third-year people coming back this year, so I think down at the Department on Aging, they're reactivating some summer help at the third-year level. Right now, I'd like to introduce John
You
Swartz.
gotta do a vote at once.
I
Okay.
gotta, yeah, I gotta make the motion.
No, 22.
22.
22, excuse me.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Thank you. Come on up, John. John is our agent, helps us with our insurance and our policy with Corsa. Number 24 is, I'm sorry, number 23 is our
Why
three-year
are we doing two of them
participation
together?
agreement. They're two different things. The first one is our, where we actually agree to participate as members of Corsa, and that's done every 3 years. I just brought John up in case you had any questions about that. Corsa's been, how long would you say Corsa's been? It's been a while.
25 years.
25 years?
Yeah, they've been, that's property casualty, it's a self-insurance pool like Sevco for benefits. It's been in existence longer in 60 or so counties or of the 88.
66, I believe, are in it.
And then there's some other entities like the Portage, Geauga Juvenile Joint Detention Centers, and a lot of entities like that.
So this just outlines our agreement to participate for another 3 years.
And that
So-
payment will cover all 3 of those years?
No. The next one, number 24, that's a payment for 1 year. And it's a lot less than it was last year. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Do we want to do both those at the same time?
Well, we'd already talked about that, but, I mean, let's go ahead and do the first one, we'll get through that, so.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute the 2015 participation agreement with the County Risk Sharing Authority Incorporated, Corsa, for the period May 1st, 2015 through April 30th, 2018.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
So now we can approve the amount, now that we've approved that we're gonna use them, so.
All right. I'm going to let John talk to you a little bit about the program for this year. I will tell you that last year we paid $377,000, and this year it's $340,000, so that's good news. And there will be enhanced coverages under that. He and I both attended the Corsa renewal meeting a few weeks ago, and they explained to us that the loss control that we do and the risk management that we do, the safety programs that we do are actually resulting in statewide lower claims. And because we're self-insured, then the board gives the money back. They give it back to us in the form of incentives. We jump through some hoops, they give us the incentives. We got 100% of the incentives last year, and my goal is to attain that same level this year through the various programs that we use.
And we've been, Gary Wirtz has been our servicing agent for a long time. John's transitioning into that role. We met with John and Gary last week, and we were talking about the coverage enhancements, and asked the question, well, what would it cost to get this kind of coverage, all the things we have in the private sector? And I think Gary was saying to get this kind of coverage, we were probably talking $500,000
Yeah.
for the same kind of coverage if you just went out to an outside agent to get it.
And it wouldn't be the same coverage, it would be less. There's not a company, to my knowledge, a single company that can incorporate all of the coverages that Corsa has. For example, we might have to get the law enforcement liability from one company. Another company might do the general liability and property. A third one, the physician's liability at the jail. Incorporate all those things and still have a policy that's worse and wouldn't have some of the enhancements that are in this policy. It's been a great policy for as long as it's been in existence.
And again, I think the board of directors is comprised of county commissioners.
County commissioners,
So it's
exactly.
really, it's not run by some outside group, it's folks like you guys.
It's us.
Mhm.
So it's very well tailored to the specific needs of county government.
And yeah, so I'm just here to ask that you approve payment of the invoice and give you very brief review of the policies and premiums, what makes them up, if I may pass these out to you. So you're taking some notes, scribbling down. As you can see, my first note there's several factors that work into the rate that comes up each year as the insurance is rated. The total amount of property that's insured, and this is a blanket figure. In 2014, it was $153.7 million. This upcoming period, it's going to be $162.3 million. The total number of employees, both full-time and part-time. Part-time are based on full-time equivalents, so they lump those together.
Now, where did we have the not to interrupt, but where did we have almost a $10 million jump in the property?
Primarily, a large portion of that was in the auto. Let's see, I can give you the numbers. In your property buildings and equipment, stuff inside, that type of thing, in 2014, you were at 153.7 million, and this upcoming year, it's 162.3 million. What, of course, it does is every few years, they come out and they do a inspection on the property values to make sure that all the properties are insured to the right amount for replacement cost. So that just occurred, I believe it was last year that they came out and did that and adjusted the property values there. As far as the auto fleet, that went from 262 units last year to 287 units this year with, let's see, 9 million last year, 9.3 million this year.
Is that primarily, is that in law enforcement, is that in
Primarily.
maintenance, or what is law enforcement?
Primarily law enforcement, but, you know, across the board, we get changes off and on from the engineers department. Bought a bulldozer, did something new.
We had a fairly substantial renovation in Metzenbaum, I'm assuming part of it as well.
Well, I could see that at $1.5 million that they did for the
Yeah,
thing, but
I
10
know what
million.
you're, yeah, I know what you're going.
I'm struggling with that, to be quite honest with you. $10 million, and our vehicles from going from 262 to 287, that's almost, what, 25 new vehicles?
Just have the engineers building on it yet?
Not yet.
I mean, the
They could be
office.
just reevaluating, some things could be valued
Yeah,
higher.
Is there a report that actually shows where they actually showed the
Oh, sure, we
increases? I
we
mean,
could give you a full breakdown of
I'm
last
just
year.
saying, $10 million, you know, we've been flat in Geauga County as far as our property valuations. For what we've got, if anything, it's gone the other way for
Well,
us than
Not on replacement costs.
Yeah, one main thing is the difference between what your market value is, what you can sell a property for,
Right.
and what the replacement cost is, what
Right.
it is to rebuild it.
Right.
And rebuilding costs usually outstrip what the market value is going to be, especially if you've got older buildings. That can drastically affect it. But the engineer's office, I believe, the new engineer's building, I believe we've got that on a builder's risk done.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
under construction,
Yeah.
so there may
So
be something.
it's a builder's risk policy is as a building is completed, the insurance amount on it goes up, that they're going to pay, but the rate is based on the total amount of the completed structure. So that building is going to be in these figures as well.
We ought to be able to get some kind of schedule, the commissioners can see it.
Yeah, we can absolutely
Yeah.
get every
Yeah.
line item, every traffic light, everything is listed out. I can bore you with more papers than you can imagine.
And then they'll have an actual consolidated list of actually what the vehicles are that they're in.
That are insured. The way it works is the sheriff's department, for example, will report to us a new vehicle that they're getting. You know, a police enforcer, Taurus. And then they'll say to us, it's going to have this package on it, A, B, C, or D. And each of those packages has a little more equipment. D has more equipment than A does, and C has more than A does, and so on. So those packages can add another $25,000, $30,000 to the cost of the vehicle, depending on what's in that vehicle.
But then are you deducting the vehicle that they're auctioning off?
Yeah, those at the end of the year, they make the total vehicle change. You're covered for all of the vehicles throughout the year. They don't send, like your personal car insurance, if you got a new car and traded your old one in last weekend, this weekend you'd get an endorsement showing your new car on there, the old one off. Corsa runs it all at the same time. When the renewal comes in, you get a credit on the renewal for the cars that were turned in, and then you get charged on the new cars.
Okay.
So it doesn't affect, we're not asking you for another $1,000 in premium here, $1,000 there. It's just an easier way of managing the premium.
Do you have it broke down by department, by each individual
Yes,
area?
they're-
Who?
They're broken.
Okay.
They're broken down by department as well.
We're the ones who supply that information to them.
Okay.
Kevin keeps the running total of what's on and what's off in terms of the
Okay.
vehicles we own. It probably can be sorted by department, and maybe you sort it
I
by
think
department
we
when you
do.
get it. But we worked pretty tirelessly last fall to make sure that that thing was as accurate as we could make it. I think we went back and forth 3 times with you guys to get it into the way you wanted it, and we were satisfied that it was accurate as of that moment. But as you know, things change. Probably a lot has changed since 6 months ago.
That brings up an interesting question that I hadn't contemplated before. We're not allocating insurance costs across the departments, the general fund is just paying insurance costs.
That's not entirely true. I just got a document from Corsa yesterday. It's on my Heidi list for today, where we do a little bit of cost
The
allocation.
cost allocation, the Maximus thing we're looking at, where we're able to charge other departments outside the general fund for insurance, we do.
And she and I will be talking about that today.
The sheriff's department, for example, is that allocated to him?
Well,
or do we pay for
that's
it?
general fund, most of that's general fund.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
We'd be charging ourselves.
But people who have their own funding sources, we can try to get some of that if we can. But I haven't been close yet. Heidi and I will be talking about it later today.
Okay.
Of course, it gives a breakdown of the percentage that's allocated to each one of the departments that can be charged for. So it's just a simple matter of taking that percentage of the total and charging it off to the particular department. There were 5 categories on that, I want to say.
Something like that. I haven't drilled down yet. I'm just gonna sit down with Heidi today.
I just too, 68 new employees from 14 to 15. I mean, most of the time, to be quite honest with you, within the commissioners hiring, pretty much somebody has to leave for another one to come in.
GFS has crept up a little bit just because of all the workload they have.
But 64 people,
No,
that's.
that's mostly.
That's what surprised me with some of the increases here.
Yeah.
And so the $10 million, the magnitude of the increases was, raised questions, because it surprised me.
It's just talk about part-time and full-time.
Yes.
Is that part-time,
Those are equivalents. Notice the payroll total went down.
Yeah.
So more
More
bodies
people
are
pay
paying
worse.
less.
I mean, when we
It's
bring
the opposite of what
summer
I was
help
trying to
on,
say
we
last
gotta
week.
look at them, right?
Excuse me?
When the summer help numbers come on,
But that's
they
been
would
pretty
fall
consistent.
under this part-time number.
But that's probably included in that. Part-time and seasonal, I would think is
Yeah.
still in.
Yeah, and so that fluctuates by, I don't know.
Hugely. You'd be amazed how much it fluctuates. I mean, I pulled a report that was for 11 months of all the people that had left, because I was trying to update a different list. And it was like 3 pages. I was amazed at the amount of movement of employees that there were in and out, and, yeah. Part of the difference here may be that you have a different person doing the job.
Right.
Because I'm doing it differently than Colleen did, because I didn't have a lot of guidance how to do it.
Fresh set of eyes, yeah.
So I had a lot of departments say, nobody's ever asked me this before. I'm like,
So you're counting people now where you didn't count people before?
I'm not saying that, I'm
She's
just
doing it
saying,
differently, yeah.
if I'm
I
doing
see.
it differently, you might get a slightly different result.
So let me ask you a question then. Let's say hypothetically that we trimmed our fleet by 25 cars next month, and we paid this invoice. And so what does that do to our invoice? Is it an annual payment regardless of
Yes.
what we've?
That'll be adjusted then next year, your premium next year will go down to reflect that. If you did not replace those cars, if you trimmed 25 and added 30, you're not gonna be charged for the fact that there's 25 newer cars and 5 cars that never existed. Converse.
Yeah, we're paying for cars that aren't covered then.
Basically, it's trade-off, yes, you're correct.
But if you're growing, you're not paying for the ads until the following.
Yeah.
When we insure these vehicles, police cars or the engineer's fleet or water resources, are these actual cash value or replacement cost numbers on this stuff?
All of the equipment is for replacement cost, to the best of my knowledge, even including the vehicles.
Yes, it is. We made sure of that.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, in the engineer's department, I mean, you got a backhoe that's 15 years old, 20 years old, it could be a couple $100,000 more to replace that if it caught fire and big engine fire or whatever calamity happens.
Correct.
So we don't not only lose our piece of equipment, but then have to make up a difference to the 2015 or 16 value.
The county's only commitment is there's $2,500 deductible on the loss. $2,500.
On everything,
Correct.
whether it's a car, a bulldozer, a dump truck, plow truck.
Correct.
What's that?
Lawsuit.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So what's the, just one, I'm sorry, one more question. My mind was working on this. And you can blame Ralph, because he was the one that brought it up and started the whole thing. So what is the incremental difference on the $10 million increase? If you were to just take a guess off the top of your head what the rate difference would be?
Well, let's see here. The increment, oh, you mean the,
How much more are we paying for that extra $10 million worth of value?
oh, well, you're actually not, because you're going down by 30,000 this year as opposed to what you paid last year.
Right, but I think he's saying if we would have held at the same amount, if, let's say, we would have had the 153 this year,
Mhm.
increasing that almost $10 million, how much would we really have been able to go down if we would have kept the number the same? If we're saving 30 grand, how much more could we have saved without that $10 million bump?
Well, the breakdown that I've got here does not allude to that. If it were all building coverage, instead of being across the board, building coverage is typically about 30 cents per hundred, so how many hundreds do you have in 10 million?
Come on, Dave.
Any math, maybe?
I can't do that.
No, well, give me a spreadsheet, I'll figure it out for you.
10,000. There's 10,000
It would be
hundreds.
$30,000.
10,000 times 30 cents, $3,000.
3,000 maybe on 10,000, but 30 cents would be 3 million, or 30,000 on 10 million.
But that, how many hundreds are there in a million? 10,000, correct?
No, it would be 100,000.
I'll do my calculation.
Okay. 1, 2,
10,100 instead of million.
Yeah.
Thank you,
10,000.
that's right.
So the rate is per hundred.
Per 100.
So you have 10,000 hundreds, 10,000 times 30 cents is 3,000, 333.
So
So
then,
my guess is that if it were all property, $3,000 of this increase, or this premium, would be from the 10 million in property. That
And you're
is my
gonna
best
provide them with a
educated
list
guess.
of.
Yeah, we can provide.
I'm just guessing, as Linda touched on, fresh set of eyes looking at this. Again, the whole idea is to accurately account for everything we have.
You know, it's not something, as we're going through the budgeting process and you're gonna be entering the budget season, many of us, myself included, don't contemplate, if the sheriff comes over and asks for 5 new cars, what the hit to the budget is gonna be from an insurance standpoint. I look at the cost of the car and whatever, but not really thinking in the back of my mind about the insurance impacts, because that comes right out of the general fund.
Well,
And so,
Well, and
I think the key there is what you're saying, if the sheriff comes over and asks for 5 new cars, or does the sheriff ask for 5 cars that he's replacing? I mean, I view 5 new adding to the total,
Right.
to the total, where I want 5 new replacement vehicles, which means I'm taking 5 out of the fleet because of their mileage and longevity. If we're doing actual cash value, or not actual cash value, replacement costs, that should be a wash.
right, but I mean, we had a $10 million increase, so therefore we had an impact to the budget, which.
Well, $10 million is on, well, it's actually $9 million, I think. gonna pick up a million to $1.5 million on the engineers building now, the one that's, I gotta think that's 50% completed. I was in it the other day.
Yeah.
I gotta think it's close to 50%. Then the salt thing, that's not even on here yet or anything.
I told them about that.
Yeah, that's, well,
Yeah, what's all building?
Pay no attention to that 200-foot structure.
well, right now, it's just a big mud hole. I just looked at that the other day too. They're ready. What other major things have we done?
No, again, I think it's probably fresh set of eyes looking, this is probably just improving the accuracy of our current stock of assets. And we're part of a pool with all the other counties, we need to have it as accurate as possible. So, I mean, the good news is because of the overall loss control, we're paying less money. Bad news is maybe we're a little more accurate on the assets, and we didn't get as big of an increase as we might have, had those all been accounted for maybe better in the past, but the idea
But
is
I'm not
we're
saying
more
they
to-
weren't, I'm
Yeah,
just saying
right.
that may be part of the reason.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's been a healthy conversation, unless there's any objection to the fee, and I don't have.
Well, I think that if we're looking at, if it's 30 cents 100, and there's,
If it were all building, that was the
right,
10 million.
and if it was, so you're looking at $3 every 1,000.
Correct.
So we're looking at $30 every 1,000, or 10,000.
10,000.
So if you do the math, it's
$300.
$30,000. I mean, let's do the math on
Yeah,
that.
$30,000.
It's 30,000, it's not $3,000.
Yeah. Could have been our $30,000 reduction had the
Right.
value not gone.
I don't know where 3,000 came from, but it's not 3,000, it's $30,000.
One thing I would like to note is that in addition to a lower premium this year, we're getting some enhanced coverages. We have some disaster recovery type stuff, it's called business income extra expense limit, was $1 million, now it's gonna be $2.5 million. The valuable papers limit, which means a lot to me as your records manager, went from $1 million to $2.5 million. Employer's liability stopgap, and you might be able to explain that better than I can, has gone from 1 to 3 million in terms of our coverages.
Stopgap is just a coverage that comes in and fills in around workers' comp coverage. If there's an incident of negligence on behalf of the employer that work comp would not pay for an item. Stopgap gives coverage for injury by, bodily injury by injury and by disease. There's
What about mental health? Because what we're seeing is there's a whole lot of, I just can't work, I'm just so traumatized, and that becomes a thing that goes on without end, it seems, like years and years, we're still paying, is that covered
Is
by
work
this kind
comp-
of stuff?
Is work comp paying for that?
Sometimes not. Would that fill in the gaps on something like that?
With any policy, the first thing to look at is the exclusions. I'd have to look at that. A lot of times
Okay.
work comp is excluded from, certain things are excluded from the work comp override. So I cannot answer that for you now,
Okay.
but I can look into it.
So anyway, we've got some enhanced coverages for back wages, front wages, and severance obligations, errors and omissions if we make mistakes. In an employment action, we get some better coverage on that. And then our cyber liability coverage, that's something that Corse is paying a lot more attention to now, and I think you of all people would know for very good reason. In fact, I asked them if they could look at using that as the training for next year. I don't know if they will, but I thought this year they're gonna do FMLA, maybe next year they can do the cyber liability, because there's a lot to know, and there are so many opportunities for us to be damaged by outside people. I know that the auditor's office is working on prepping some training for people in this area this year, and I'm working with them on that. And we're gonna try and get some people in to be trained on how to be a little more careful about the exposures
Is
we
it just
have.
cybersecurity, or are you covering security generally speaking? I mean, in the world of security, there's bigger security leaks with stuff that walks out the door, paper and stuff that was in the office, somebody picks up and that kind of stuff, than anybody could ever get on the internet. and people going out and, you know, loose lips sink ships kind of a thing. And so do you cover security across the board?
Well, it's the type of thing, if it were on a laptop that got stolen or lost or somehow misappropriated, not your briefcase.
Did you, I know you got, do you have any issues with this, to move forward and so forth, so?
Just to finish up, as Linda said, the loss control incentive program, that's something that you folks, the county's gotten 100% on. Last year, it had a credit of $9,259. This year, it was $10,396. And the loss fund member equity, that is, it's a build-up. Each one of the counties that joins Corsa pays an initial upfront administrative fee, joining fee, if you will, $25,000. So 25 years ago, that's what the county paid, and each new county coming in pays that. The fund had sat there for the first several years and built up. Corsa is kind of like a mutual insurance company. You know, a mutual insurance company is owned by its shareholders, and mutual insurance companies pay dividends to those policy owners that basically own the company. Corsa pays a dividend, has for the past, I think, 70 years it's come back. And this year, it went up to $43,244 from the $28,944 that you got last year. And again, the Corsa board is made up of a board of county commissioners, such as yourself, that determine.
How's
what's
that board
going to
selected?
They have an election each year to select that board with, among the Corsa membership. You want to run? You want to run?
I'm going to look at the mix of members there, because my experience so far with many of these boards is we might be benefited by being on that board.
We have someone on the board, Jeff was on that board. His career was in insurance, and so he was a.
We don't have enough Geauga County commissioners to push back on some of the nonsense we see in a lot of these boards. So we're going to have to increase the size of
We
the
just need more
commissioners
commissioners.
boards.
Well, the end result is that all the factors going together, last year you paid $370,512, and this year the total premium was $340,218, which is a $30,294 reduction, or 7%. And that's it. Respectfully request your approval.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve the County Risk Sharing Authority Incorporated Insurance Program renewal for the period May 1st, 2015 through April 30th, 2016, and further authorize the payment of $340,218.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
for
folks.
taking the grilling.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
You're local, right?
Yes, right down in Chase Bank building.
Right.
You have to be located in the county seat to be an agent for Corsa.
I knew there was something like that.
Thank you, folks, have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve and execute the agreement between the Geauga County Board of Commissioners and Chardon Rotary to allow Chardon Rotary to use the county parking lot located at 208 East Park Street in Chardon for the purposes of a parking lot fundraiser during the annual County Maple Festival on April 24, 2015, after 5 o'clock p.m. through April 26, 2015.
I'll make that motion, but I do have a question about that.
Okay?
I mean, when we give that, our permission to do that, I mean, I know from things I've done, they have to provide their own insurance and so on and so forth. So this is the pit, correct?
It is provided, and it's been reviewed by
Okay,
the
I don't want to be
prosecutor's office.
responsible for any automotive damage when they drive off into that
Yeah,
line
no,
facility.
the insurance paperwork is attached to the agreement, and it was approved by Laura.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution number 15-052 honoring Rotary Club of Chardon on their 50th anniversary celebration.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye. And I'm gonna read this. I know the Ralph's got to, has another commitment, so. All right. A resolution honoring the Rotary Club of Chardon on their 50th anniversary celebration. That's pretty significant, 50 years. I'm only slightly older than that. Whereas in February 1905, Paul B. Harris originated the idea, and the first Rotary Club meeting was held in Chicago, and the member of the clubs quickly grew across the country. In 1912, the name was changed to Rotary International to reflect the clubs in other countries. And by July 1925, there were more than 2,000 clubs across 6 continents, all with the same idea of dedication to serving their communities, best expressed in the motto, service above self. And whereas in the summer of 1964, a group of individuals looked into the formation of the Chardon-based Rotary Service Club that would meet during the lunch hour, contacts were made through the very existing Burton Club, and the guidelines to establish a new club were reached. The Rotary Club of Chardon was granted their charter on February 15, 1965. And whereas the Rotary Club of Chardon immediately began holding social events, fundraisers, selling maple syrup at the Maple Festival, and then food items at the county fair as a way to raise funds so that they could support the community, which continues today to provide college scholarships, books, dictionaries to local schools, students exchange, and an annual fireworks display. And whereas the Rotary Club of Chardon service goes beyond the boundaries of Geauga County throughout their support of the polio research program to eradicate polio in the hospital Albert Schweitzer and Haiti, in which they assist with providing much-needed medical supplies. And now therefore be it resolved that the Geauga County Board of Commissioners do hereby recognize and honor the Rotary Club of Chardon on their 50th anniversary celebration, and for their commitment and dedication to serving the residents in their community and throughout the world. Be it further resolved that this resolution becomes part of the permanent record of the Board of Commissioners of Geauga County. Thank you for the Chardon Rotary. This is phenomenal. So thank you. Is somebody here from the Chardon Rotary? No? Well, it'll be on YouTube. Okay, up and coming meetings. Tuesday the 21st, we're gonna have a NOCCOG meeting at 10:30?
Yeah.
The 23rd, the commissioners are gonna hold regular session at 6:30. The 23rd to the 26th, nobody wants to miss the Maple Fest in Chardon Square. Get some maple butter, maple syrup, pancakes, ride the rides, have a good time. The 28th, the commissioners are going to hold regular session. The 28th, we're going to go to the Portage Geauga Juvenile Detention Center. A fun and exciting trip. On the 5th, the commissioners are going to hold regular session. On the 8th, NOACA, my favorite organization, is going to have a finance, governance, and executive committee, all of which I think Blake sits on. The 12th, the commissioners.
It's not on finance.
Oh, that's
We don't
right.
have any
We don't have any finance. They didn't allow us on the finance committee. The commissioners are called regular session at 9 o'clock, and that'll include an update presentation by the Lake Geauga Recovery Centers. With that said,
I move to adjourn.
I'll stand.
Thank you for coming.
So now,
Pause it. I'm gonna go shut it off.
Pull the plug out of it. That'll work.